So ordered. The chair now recognizes Mr. Kean of New Jersey for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all of our witnesses for joining us today. Today's discussion is particularly important, focusing on the role these programs play in mitigating risks and bolstering American resilience factors that resonate strongly with my home state of New Jersey, where effective emergency response measures are vital in the face of evolving natural disasters that continue to extend further and further to the Northeast. Mr. Averill and Mr. Latch, mitigation techniques exist to save lives and reduce damages, but it's widely known that communities are leaving highly cost-effective mitigation practices on the table. Could the National Windstorm Impact Reduction Program and the National Earthquake Hazards Reduction Program help decrease the cost of mitigation measures even more to make a difference, or is increasing education and outreach to property owners to ramp up the adoption of techniques the most effective way to do things?
Thank you. Great question. So NIST is part of the Department of Commerce, and as such, our mission includes both life safety, but also U.S. economic competitiveness. So we engage in the consensus development of both codes and standards, and we supplement our scientific research oftentimes with economic studies. And those economic studies look at the benefit costs of proposals to make changes to ensure that those are actually supportable and implementable at the local level. And we think that's a real value add to the consensus process.
Thank you for the question, sir. I would add that in our agency, FEMA provides incentives and support for communities to adopt current building codes wherever possible, both through the codes and standards and by providing technical assistance to implement proven strategies and best practices. Our role, as we like to call ourselves, the translation arm from research to practice. Under the BRIC FY23 funding opportunity, building code adoption enforcement efforts are eligible as set-asides and activities under state and tribal set-asides. And we spend a great deal of time working on awareness, advocacy, and partnership building to bring building code knowledge and awareness to states, locals, and the public.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Margulies, as a geographic area historically impacted by windstorms shifts eastward, how is NSF supporting research activities to understand and address the novel challenges that arise with communicating risk to communities that lack the necessary infrastructure and resources, such as tornado shelters, to improve public safety during these events?
If I might, I'm going to answer the previous question as well from a social and economic sciences aspect, which the NSF also supports. Yeah. There's an award in New Jersey to Rutgers University, which really is exploring ways to incentivize communities to actually manage their coastal hazards. And they're using 20 years of tax and local state budgets, as well as the tax records and phone calls, to really understand what will it take to incentivize communities to actually adopt those practices to mitigate economic harm. So to answer your questions about how we communicate, our funding includes in it a mandate to disseminate the findings as broadly as possible. So by passively disseminating findings, our agency, as well as other communities of research, are expecting those dissemination of findings. We also fund many research conferences where they come together to discuss a particular topic. That's another way of disseminating. And most of our centers include, and these are large investments, a mandate to reach out to communities about the research findings and to bring them in early so that the research that's being conducted is one that's relevant to the research communities that will be impacted and hopefully improved by the research findings.
And then for whomever is most appropriate to answer this, thank you for that. In 2018, the National Windstorm Impact Reduction Program released a strategic plan developed with stakeholders from across government, academia, and the private sector to support research aimed at improving the understanding of windstorms and their impacts. Could you provide some examples of how NIST, NOAA, FEMA, and NSF work with academia and the private sector to address windstorm resiliency? Whomever is the best.
Sure, I can give a quick example, and it was mentioned earlier, we have the partnership between NIS, and NSF and the Disaster Resilience Research Grants Program, and it's an opportunity. We get hundreds of applications through that, and it is great because it goes from the fundamental research that NSF does through to some of the applied research, and it's an opportunity to engage in both the wind space as well as the earthquake space.
Thank you. My time is expired, but if I may, through the chair, ask if anyone on the panel can send through the chair to my office examples to that question. I yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Kane. The chair now recognizes